Today I want to talk to you about FIRE. And no, we're not talking about those fires out in California. It's not that type of show. Hopefully you all know that by now. We're going to talk about achieving FIRE, or financial independence. Living financially independent, F.I., with the ability to retire early, R.E., is really the goal of most Americans. Now, I'll be honest with you, I didn't come up with FIRE. I would have to say some other financial guru did. You can see that term in a lot of podcasts, a lot of books out there. There's actually a podcast dedicated just to this concept of achieving FIRE. And people have actually done their little spins on it. But the idea is pretty straightforward. You'll reach a certain point, we'll call that financial independence, where you have enough money coming in, or enough money just simply set aside, that you no longer have to work. So let's say your bills are $5,000 a month, and you have $8,000 coming in. Well, you have the ability to retire. Now, let's stop for a moment and talk about, when that can happen for all of us. Believe it or not, your ability to achieve FIRE is really 100% dependent upon your ability to live uncomfortable, or what I'll say is the type of lifestyle that you want to live. If you want to live just an average lifestyle, or if you want to live a luxury lifestyle, is going to drive exactly when or how much money you need to achieve this state of FIRE, being able to retire early. For example, as I just said, if your bills are $5,000 a month, and you knew for certain that you were going to make $8,000 a month off of whatever, either you had to set aside or you had investments, for the rest of your life, you could feel confident that you can now quit your job and go live your best life, be the best you, because your bills are taken care of. However, if you live a lifestyle where you need $15,000 a month to live because you got a fancy car and a fancy house and all those types of things, then you're going to need probably, a little more. You're going to need $18,000, $20,000 coming in each month. The larger your lifestyle that you decide to choose, also consider the more you're going to have to pay taxes. So if I want to live on a lifestyle of $5,000 or $60,000 a year, well, I can make probably about $80,000 and be perfectly okay, assuming I'm going to be in that 15% tax bracket. But if I want to live a life of making $150,000 a year, well, I'm going to need to bring in more like $200,000, because my tax bracket is going to be 25%. As we cover in the 13th grade, our financial literacy course, you always have to consider taxes when you're thinking about retiring, investing, in anything. Taxes are your biggest liability. They are your biggest expense. So you always want to consider that. So back to the topic of the discussion, your ability to achieve FIRE is really dependent upon the type of lifestyle that you want to live in your retirement age. So it's very, very important that you actually determine what that is early on. And it's also important you determine what that is, because as you make more money, which is what you're going to have to do to eventually achieve FIRE, that lifestyle can actually start to creep up on you. When I was young, I made $40,000 a year, $44,000 a year, and then I made $65,000, and then I made in the 90s, and then I made the hundreds, and then mid-hundreds, and on. And I can tell you that for a while there, the only thing that happened in my daily life as I got a bigger check is I had bigger spending. If you continue to do that and you raise your lifestyle, so before you were driving the Toyota Corolla, now you're driving the Lexus, and now you're up to the, the Mercedes or the G63, if you continue to increase that, you're going to become accustomed to a lifestyle that, you're going to need a lot more money to feed it. And if you retire and you got to go back down to the Toyota Corolla, that is going to be actually very mentally hard for you to do. So also what we try to teach on the 13th course is you got to set that baseline of what feels comfortable for you now, and then go chase that degree of comfortableness. So in order to reach FIRE and retire early, we need something called money. I hear all the time, I see in affirmations that people send, these words out there like, the world is abundant and I need more money, or more money's coming to me. And be quite honest, for most of us, more money's not coming to us. It doesn't just fall out of the sky. Let's talk about the ways that you can actually make money. Someone can give it to you, right? So, and that kind of comes in a couple of different ways, but Giving it to you might be that you can marry into it. So you have a spouse or somebody that you marry into, their family has money, and now sort of you didn't have a whole lot of money before, but you're financially secure. Someone can literally just gift it to you. That's kind of similar to inheriting it or to a spouse, but someone could just literally write a check and say, here's $500,000 on your wedding day and have a good life. Maybe that's also marrying into it, I don't know. But the moral of the story is that you didn't do anything to get it. You got it through friends or family. Someone passed away, God forbid, and you were left with a big sum of money. You can take that money, and if it's enough of it, well, you potentially could be in a state of achieving FIRE. Beyond that, of course, you can win it. You could go down to the QT, the 7-Eleven, or whatever your gas station is of choice, and you could, put a scratch off, and maybe you can win, $1 million or $2 million. And depending on where you are in your life and your lifestyle, that might be enough to actually consider yourself financially free and to retire early. Now, I'll say to you, most people that win the lottery do lose it, so be careful with that one. And the return on investment, like scratch-offs, isn't that great. So I would caution you to do that, and that's probably not in your future as well. You're probably better off to go find someone to marry that has, a little bit of money. So the other one is, well, we got to earn it, right? So here's the problem. And this is what a lot of people think. They say, well, if I just go and get a good job or I work really hard, I will eventually, be able to retire. But there's that thing called life creep that I talked about. So what happens is, well, like when I got out of college, I worked really, really hard. I worked in the construction industry actually for a while. And I was up at, 4:30, felt like 2 a.m. And I went to sleep very late. I worked all the time. And you know what I didn't have? I didn't have any money. And then from there, I went into the financial industry, into sales, and I worked really hard there. Different hard, but pretty hard. And you know what? I didn't have any money either. So as you make money, as you exchange your time for money, which is actually what's covered in Rich Dad, Poor Dad in the cash flow quadrant, as you're a self-employed or an employee, the only thing that you're doing is you're putting in a tremendous amount of hours for some degree of money back to you. And that's simple for most people to understand. I make $20 an hour. For each day I work, I get $20. So if that's you, congratulations. If you always have to exchange your time for money, well, you're never going to be financially free. So back to the beginning, there's actually only one way that you can achieve FIRE. And that is, of course, investing. And investing is when your money makes money for you. Now, again, these concepts aren't necessarily mine. There's universal concepts. They're covered pretty heavily in the Rich Dad, Poor Dad. If you haven't read that book, I do recommend it. But it's a very simple concept. If you're always going to be a worker or work for somebody, you're always going to be exchanging your time for money. Let's call it the $20 an hour. However, if you take your money and you put it into investment, and that money makes money. So I put my $20 into investment, and that $20 earns me, say, 10%. I have now made $2. Well, you can imagine if I had enough money in investments, and I made enough return, that $2, why couldn't it be $20,000 or $200,000? So the point in the rush for everyone is to get as much money as you have into investments that pay the highest return possible as quickly as possible so that you can get the compounded interest and allow your money to make money. When your money makes enough money, basically is summarized in when you have enough invested, that the return on the investment yields enough output to cover your living expenses, you, congratulations, have achieved FIRE. So if my living expenses are $5,000, and I've put enough money into a 401k or an IRA or real estate or stocks or a private business or whatever, we cover all these different things on the course. If I put enough money in there and I'm getting my 5, 6, 7, 8% return, whatever it is, and that yields me $8,000 a month, well, I can take that $8,000, pay for my bills, and I can take the equation of work equals money out of it. That means I can quit my job, I can go live free, and I can live my true self. And that, my friends, is pretty awesome.